Creativity takes space and time. So what do you do when you don't have either? Have you ever felt deep within that there's something more you're supposed to be doing, but you're not sure what? Have you ever felt like you're producing a lot, but not expressing at all? Welcome to She Made It. I'm your host, Elle Zimmerman, and I am on a mission to help you cultivate meaning through the path of creativity. Join me to eavesdrop on conversations with brave women who broke through their resistances into a life of authenticity. Because I believe if she made it, you can too. Welcome to today's episode of She Made It. Welcome, Clara.
Hi, Elle. Happy summer.
Yes.
It's been busy around here lately.
Very busy. We have a lot going on, people in and out for vacations. In fact, you just returned from a lovely one.
Yeah, I took a 2.5-day road trip with my college roommate, sort of spur of the moment. Like I bought the tickets maybe 2 weeks before it happened, but it was much needed and super fun. We went to Savannah and Atlanta and Orlando and spent 2 hours on the beach, and it was super compacted, but just a really great time.
So I love Savannah. We've done work with SCAD, the College of Art and Design there. And so I have visited and I love the city. So if you had to name like the highlight of your trip at Savannah, what would you say?
It was probably the chocolate shop that we went to, honestly. It was like a hybrid between a bookstore and a chocolate shop, and they gave you these gold-plated trays and little gold tongs, and the chocolates were in the bookshelves, as weird as that sounds, but it was really delightful. And then we just sat on, I don't know if it was the Forrest Gump bench, but it was like it in one of the parks.
Yeah, the architecture there is just so incredible. And I know the president of the college has done a lot to revitalize and restore, to keep the architecture as, authentic as the original. So it is beautiful.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
And I'm getting ready to go on vacation next week. We're going to go to the beach and just really ready for a break.
Yeah.
Some well-needed downtime.
Yeah, especially after the day that you had yesterday.
Yeah. So the balance of motherhood and entrepreneurship and parenting of 3 teenagers. So it's getting to be the end of summer. So we're jamming in all those last minute doctor, dentist, all the appointments we need to have. And so we went to the dentist, and it was supposed to be a quick visit, get some cleanings done, and my daughter ended up having a much bigger issue. So the day started with a lot more time on the road, a lot more time in the dentist office, but all under control, more time with my kids. I do love the driving time because great conversations happen.
They can't get away from you.
That's right. And they don't have to look me in the eye. So I can
Right.
bring up, those awkward topics. But then we get home, and I had taken the day before off to go kayaking with them, which is
that's
unusual
really fun.
to have 3 teenagers want to join their mother kayaking. So I'd already taken the day off, was really scrambling to get into work, and we drive home, and then my little dog Harry, is not running toward me because he has something in his mouth. And then I see my older son running out with a very large piece of turkey,
Oh my gosh.
dangling it in front of the dog. And we realized that Harry found a rabbit hole.
Oh, no.
And tiny bitty baby wild rabbits had just been born, and he found one. And so we got the dog in, got the rabbit, and he was still alive, but had some wounds. And so the kids, it was actually really sweet because they're all rallying behind the little bunny, and they're Google-fooing how to take care of a baby bunny. And they find an organization called Nature's Nurse. And so we leave a text message, we send a picture, we have a little box and a towel, and the little bunny's, cleaned off and obviously going to survive, but we didn't know what to do. So the young woman from Nature's Nurse coordinated a pickup. So then I'm an hour now later to work. I'm nursing a little wounded bunny. I'm trying to keep my dog. Now I have to take my dog out on a leash from here on until the baby bunnies are free from their bunny hole.
Right.
And then we set up a taxi, a time to get the bunny to the nature's nurse. So now I'm like this wounded animal ambulance service. But all fantastic, even though my day was completely thrown off. I had some really cool moments with my kids, seeing them just loving the life of this little bunny and caring so much to make sure it got taken care of. And so then I come into the office and I'm a little frazzled. My time was crunched, but it worked, which kind of leads me into today's topic, that the challenge of creativity needs space and time. And I've talked in past episodes about moodling and dabbling, which feels so frivolous because it's about, really giving yourself the opportunity to stop and, experiment. But how in the heck do you do that if you're driving a sick bunny around and children to dentists and, dealing with a dog and all the things that come with life. And so today I'm going to talk about bandwidth. I'm going to talk about how do we navigate through the seasons of our life that are so loaded, but yet also they require us to call in a presence, an intention in our focus. But in order to do that, we also have to let go a little bit and know that for now, not forever, which is shared with me by my business mentor, Heather Dominic, an incredible woman that I've been working with. She always reminds me it's for now, not forever. And so I can let go a little bit and really, rather than being impatient and frustrated with the dentist or the situation at home, I can really stop and allow the moment to be so rich. But it's hard. It's hard because, I have goals. I'm trying to paint every day. I'm trying to write every day. I'm trying to build, some business. I have the business objectives, and all of those kind of have to go to the wayside. And rather than wrestling with it, I have to, it's interesting thinking, having gone kayaking, the day before, it is that metaphor, go with the flow. It is letting what life is bringing lead you rather than trying to go opposite of where it's going. This last week I was on Facebook and I love Glennon Doyle Melton. I read one of her books a couple years ago, Carry On Warrior, and she's a mom and she talks so open and honest and authentically about life and what we deal with as women, as mothers. She's also an entrepreneur, very creative. And she had a Facebook post this last week that says they call it summer break because it breaks our will to live. And it was hilarious. That was funny, but it was almost the comments below that got me in, belly laughing because it's so true. We're all so eager for summer. The kids need a break. We need a break from the activities and the rigorous schedule. And then we get to about mid to end July and we're all dying for the kids to get back into a routine. But it is also about giving ourselves a break. The summer is a time of letting go and kind of being a little loose and being open. But it does give more time for dabbling and moodling. Then as we gear into the transition into fall, all of a sudden it's like overdrive into getting ourselves ready. And it's allowing that transition to be what it is. I'm also going through another transition where I have two of my kids within 1 week, which was last week, each got their driver's license. So I'm working to also let go in a lot of other ways. If any of you out there with kids use Life 360, it's an app that I've been glued to watching my children drive in their little 2-mile jaunts alone. But it's a metaphor for, that handing the keys over and you get a driver's license, but yet you know how to drive, but yet it's the experience of driving that's required to really create a good driver. So there's this dropping the keys in their hand, putting them in a 4,000-pound vehicle that we drive on the road pointed toward each other, and just trusting that that's the next step they have to take, and I have to release to let them do that. But it's hard. It's hard, and it's again being in the for now, not the forever. Remembering that everything is a season. I love the verse from Ecclesiastes, and I have clung to this verse in my life in many times where, if I'm going through a particularly difficult, experience, or when I'm feeling usually I think I cling to it when things are hard, because I want to know that this is temporary, this experience is temporary. But, Ecclesiastes says, for everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck. And it goes on to say, a time to embrace, a time to seek, a time to lose, to keep, to cast away. And I just think about with my children, with this summer, with my schedule, that this right now, as we transition from the end of summer into fall, this is a time, maybe for you, definitely for me, to really, I don't have time for creativity, for the moodling and dabbling. I barely have time to do the work I need, but I have this beautiful time in these last few weeks with my kids, with the weather, just to soak it up and make the most of what is right now. It's about, we talk about, Glennon Doyle says, summer break because it breaks our will to live, but it's also about giving ourselves a break and being aware of those moments so that we can be in deep intention and fully present. The other thing I want to share is, gratitude is such an important practice in these moments where we can get easily impatient and frustrated. I gave you a little overview of my day yesterday. Well, something else that happened this morning. We're getting ready to leave for vacation. We have this big event this weekend that we're hosting, the Zimmerman Group is hosting. So we literally have 4 days to get everybody's laundry done and packed and go. And the washing machine broke this morning. So isn't that wonderful? But I have to tell you, I was grateful for the washer breaking, because that's my biggest burden today. My washer is broken and I have to deal with maybe going to the laundromat. I have a friend who was just diagnosed with cancer. I have another friend whose husband is dealing with a health issue. And I was driving to the dentist, and on a billboard, it caught my eye because it was very interesting for a hospital to put this up, but it said, "Your health is your sacred job." And that really stuck with me, that I have my health, and self-care is a word we throw around a lot. And I guess why I want to share that with you is because in these crazy moments, in the times where we're in busyness, we're taking care of other people's needs and ours get pushed to the side, our creative endeavors, the most creative endeavor, we're expressing is pulling something, not that, the little things you have in the refrigerator together for a meal. But it's about finding the moments to be grateful, finding the moments to still take care of yourself, to pause, even if it's 5 minutes rather than 15 or 30, because your health and all that we have is just so precious. And again, it's remembering it's the for now, not forever. So give yourself a break. I'm saying that because I need to remind myself that this is a season. Within 3 weeks, I have a son that's going to be in college and 2 in high school, and I'm going to have all day for myself. And maybe you're going to be going through a transition this fall. And for those of you who maybe you're not like me and have 3 teenagers, maybe you have toddlers or babies, and your busy season is every day. You don't see an escape in a couple weeks when school starts. It feels like you've got a couple years ahead of you, and I remember that. And there's this feeling of, I'm going to be changing diapers and feeding people forever. And we hear it when we have little ones that in a blink, it'll be over. And so, yeah, I just remind you of that. But also, it's really about sinking into the presence of those moments and not fighting them. And if you're not a mom, you may be on that next stage. Maybe kids are grown, maybe you don't have children. We all go through that. I maybe call it feast or famine, where our lives are so filled with activity and commitments, or maybe a project or a deadline. And so maybe it's not happening for you right now, but just remember when that time comes that it's about that mantra, for now, not forever, and that the gratitude of what is in front of us is what gets us through those crazy times.
Elle, this has been so encouraging to me, and it just makes me think so much about what we say about permission, because on the one hand, it is so important to give yourself permission to create and to make time and space. But then on the flip side of that, there are times that you need to give yourself permission to not do something for a season, because I think I can tend to think I should be running, I should be doing yoga, I should be writing, I should be in more community groups, and just like have this long list of all these things I should be doing, but there's no way that I can do all of them at one time.
Right.
And so for me, I think this is helpful in thinking I need to give myself permission to do some things, but also permission to not do some things.
Yeah.
And say, I am not running in 90-degree weather this summer, and I'm just going to do yoga at home instead, and that's okay.
Yeah, I love that. And thank you for bringing that in. The permission to not do something.
Yeah, I think that's huge.
Yeah. And it's about knowing, again, that it's not a forever decision.
Right. You're not saying, okay, I'm never running again, or I'm never writing again.
Yeah.
You're just resting, and right now, it's not the season for that.
Yeah.
And I think that would lift so much guilt off of me and off of anybody who has all of these expectations on themselves all the time that they have to be doing it all. But the reality is we can never do it all. So we have to intentionally choose what's possible in each season.
Yeah, and that makes me think about my best girlfriend, who will be a guest at some point on She Made It. Her name is Julie. She always reminds me that as long as you're living according to your values, and all your decisions are made according to your values, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So I think checking in with, those moments of self-care, those moments of gratitude, and then what are my values? And for me, right now, this week, this part of the summer, it is my children.
Totally.
And I'm going to be unapologetic about that.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's just such an important sort of converse of making space for yourself and for creativity. It's also sometimes you just need to give your permission to let go and focus on what's in front of you.
If you were inspired by what you heard today, I would love for you to share it with a friend. And also, reviews are the number one way that this podcast will be able to help more people step into their creative life purpose, and I would be honored to have yours. I'm so grateful you joined us for today's episode. I bet you're here because you know there's something more for your life. Whether you're moving into something creative or letting go in order to take that next creative step, I have something for you. My free guide to graceful transitions. You can find it at lzimmerman.com/transitions. And remember, if she made it, you can too.